We will begin with a celebration of excellence in teaching. Each year, Whittier tradition holds that the keynote address for this ceremony is delivered by last year's recipient of the Nerhood Award. The Nerhood Award is bestowed annually to the faculty member who best exemplifies Whittier's long history of excellence in teaching. It is the highest honor a faculty member can receive at this institution. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the recipient of the 2011 Harry W. Nerhood Teaching Excellence Award, Professor of Education and Child Development, Don Bremme.
We're here tonight to honor achievement, especially the achievement of students, as our president has just said. So I'd like to begin with a big shout out to the students here. Congratulations. Give yourself a well-deserved. And students, another round to recognize and applaud the parents and the faculty members who have contributed to your achievement. My message tonight is a simple one, and it comes in two parts. First, find your mission in life. Identify your goals, think hard about it. And second, find an organization, an institution, or another context that shares that mission or has one compatible with you. You will do your best work if your personal goals, your vision, your mission matches with that of the organization in which you're working. In the United States, the idea of the individual is deeply rooted. It's part of our culture. We place a good deal of emphasis upon the individual, particularly when it comes to achievement. We see it as primarily the result of one person's capability and effort. And when we recognize the contributions of others in our achievements, it's usually because it's usually the contributions of particular other individuals, parents, or other family members, an inspiring teacher, or another special mentor. Now certainly personal capability and effort cannot, should not be overlooked in your achievement or anyone else's. Excuse me. And the encouragement and support and wisdom of special individuals in your lives and that they have given you can't be overlooked either. But you know, when people achieve, it's very often because they have found the right setting in which to work. It's the kind of setting that provides the right fit for them, the right opportunities for them. It's an organization or system in which, as I said earlier, its goals are consistent with the personal goals and commitments of the individual within it. Its culture and ethos affirms and supports their endeavors. Thus, the mission of the organization and the personal mission of the person working within it flow together toward the same or mutually compatible ends and are mutually supportive. And when that synergy is present, it affords opportunities for both the individual and the organization to surpass what they could otherwise achieve. You'll do your best work in that kind of situation. That's what I've learned at Whittier College. Whittier's mission and mine as an educator have matched. They've flowed together. As a result of that, I've been energized and inspired and in turn have been able to do what I believe, at least, is my best work here for my students. And over my 21 years at the college, I have observed that my students are inspired to do their best work too, their best learning, when they are engaged in work that attracts their individual mission, that engages their individual mission with a collective enterprise that they believe in and that they're committed to. So as an illustration of what's true of, I think, many of the faculty at Whittier College, and people in other endeavors and other aspects of life, I'd like to tell you my story in 3 minutes. During my life, I'm younger than I look. My goals as a teacher, as you might guess, realizing my actual age, were shaped in the late 60s and early 70s, a time of social concern and social action. Like many others in my generation, I was a participant in the social movements of those times and was shaped by them. A central goal for me then became working for social justice and democracy. I wanted to do that through education, and I became a high school English and history teacher with the objective of seeking to nurture a more thoughtful stance in students, a more critical consciousness about America's social and cultural formations, who they advantaged and who they disadvantaged, and also to think more critically about about the distribution of wealth and power in the world. Eventually, I went back to school, moved into higher education, became a teacher of teachers, with the idea that I could make a greater impact by encouraging future teachers to consider the same goals and deliberate on whether they fit them. All right, so now before I came to Whittier College, I taught at the University of Massachusetts in Boston, and I taught for actually 13 years at UCLA, in the Graduate School of Education. And I found that in neither institution could I pursue my personal project, my personal goals. The fit wasn't right. My goals didn't match those that were central in those institutions. So I began looking at other colleges and universities, and I decided that my project, working for social justice and democracy through education, would find a happy home at Whittier. My 21 years here have confirmed that I was right. So what is there about Whittier College that has motivated me, energized me, inspired me to work hard and do the best for my students? In my personal case, certainly one factor was the primacy that Whittier places on teaching, which is very real, palpable, and written into both its mission statement and criteria for evaluating faculty. It's also lived daily by the faculty here, in my humble opinion. But equally important, given my personal goals, was Whittier's heritage and commitment to community engagement. Whittier's Quaker heritage includes, as you know, a commitment to secular Quaker values. What are those? Well, according to one Quaker source, and I quote, Quakers recognize the equal worth and unique nature of every person. This means working to change the systems that cause injustice and inequality and hinder the development of true community. Values such as this may not be discussed every day in every class or every coffee session meeting at Whittier, but they are echoed in our mission statement and they are present in what we do. One example of what we do, not the only one, but one that is especially significant to me, is service learning. Now it turns out that last year, more Whittier students and faculty participated in service learning in the community, largely helping out nonprofit community organizations than ever before. The numbers are impressive. In 2010, 2011, through our recently created Center for Community Engagement, 81 students participated in internships with nonprofit organizations. 11 different departments offered 27 for-credit service learning courses, led by 32 faculty. These were courses that connected the intellectual engagement of the classroom with participation with community organizations and agencies. A total of 345 students participated in those courses. Altogether, including co-curricular projects that engage students in community work, 426 students participated in academic service learning activities, serving 20 or more hours in the community. In total, Whittier students gave 24,562 hours to community collaboration and service. All of these numbers exceeded those from just 1 year earlier, in the academic year 2009-2010. Whittier's commitment to social action is serious, and I hope you see how this connects with my personal goals that motivate me as a teacher. The Carnegie Foundation for the Advancement of Teaching awarded Whittier College its Community Engagement Classification in 2010. Whittier became one of 311 institutions designated as an engaged campus for demonstrating excellent alignment among mission, culture, leadership, resources, and practice that support dynamic and noteworthy community engagement. The Carnegie selection process recognizes community engagement is, in fact, part of Whittier College's curricular and co-curricular identity. Right. What's more, in 2011 and again in 2012, Whittier College was named to the President's Higher Education Community Service Honor Roll, which recognizes higher education institutions that reflect the values of exemplary community service and achieve meaningful outcomes in communities. We're not the only college where community engagement and service take place. Nevertheless, the threads that weave Whittier's courses and volunteer efforts together with communities off campus around us contributes to the special fabric of our college and its culture, which in turn encourages many faculty members, as I've mentioned the numbers, including me, toward better teaching efforts. With mission and service orientation, Whittier has enabled me to pursue the particular goals that I've brought here. I know that there are many other characteristics of the college which motivate and excite my colleagues on the faculty. And this is just one example. But there's another aspect, which I'm sure my faculty colleagues share, that motivates all of us to do our best work here. And that is the students that Whittier attracts. All right. Now, thanks to Whittier faculty, colleagues, and administration, I was able in 1993 to bring to Whittier an after-school learning program for community children at the Boys and Girls Club. It's called Fifth Dimension. And it continues today, 19 years later. It's provided alternative transformational education for, on average, over 200 children a year from low-income families, mostly of Latino background. about a third was children who were still in the process of learning the English language. I could neither have started nor sustained that program were it not for the mission, support, organizational flexibility of Whittier College, and especially knowing my Department of Education and Child Development. And just by the way, in 1996, this same program, the Fifth Dimension, was adopted by colleges and universities around California and actually in a number of other states. And while many of those programs continue in some form, many have disappeared because they were not supported by their colleges, and many others have changed in the substance of their activity. So Whittier is a special place for supporting this kind of work, and it's only one example of the kind of service learning that we do here. Significant too, I think, for many of the faculty, and certainly for me, have been the kinds of students that Whittier attracts. Many of them share goals that are compatible with mine. Their commitment and enthusiasm has challenged me and kept me sharp. Many of those students find their way to education classes over the years, over 200, have made a commitment to the Fifth Dimension and our related programs, working for underserved children in our community between 540 and 600 hours a year each. They've done that while maintaining a full academic schedule and an average GPA year in and year out that has run 3.3 or higher. And many of them have been in the program all 4 undergraduate years, and some even 6 years when they've continued on to graduate school to get a master's degree in education. Sorry, my mouth is very dry. I wasn't going to mention it because I thought it might elicit your sympathy. But I am. Okay. I have a cold and medicine is trying to knock. All right. These students have also found in these programs an important source of motivation and learning. Thank you very much. Okay, so the students I mentioned have found the same kind of source of motivation and learning that I have here at the college in the collective organizational enterprises of which they're part, like the Fifth Dimension, like the other service learning programs here at the college. Not long ago, I had a chance to sit on a meeting with this group of students. They were discussing their own goals in life and reflecting on how their personal goals coincide with goals of the organizational environment, the programs in which they work. For time considerations, I'm just going to read 2. One student said, "My goals are in the field of social work and education. After growing up and attending public schools in Los Angeles, I am mostly driven by anger. It upsets me how unjust the educational system is for those who aren't privileged enough to attend higher quality schools. Because of that, my ultimate goal is to empower students in communities who are otherwise ignored. I want to remember the forgotten ones, offering them school advisement and a positive attitude." A quotation that motivates me comes from hip-hopper Tupac Shakur. And the quotation is, "I'm not saying I'm going to change the world, but I can guarantee that I'm going to spark the brain that will change the world." One more. My father grew up in poverty after the death of his father. He was exposed to gang violence and mediocre expectations. It is kids like my father that motivate me even more to succeed. I first became introduced to the world of dentistry when I was 2 years old at my father's dental school graduation. Since then, I've wanted to be a dentist. But in doing that, my hope in life is to encourage Hispanic men and women to get an education and become professionals so that in time we can break the stereotype that has existed for so long. I want to be a role model to kids and show them that even though they are minority kids in this country, they can still become doctors or whatever they want to be. So those are the types of students I had an opportunity to work with here. And I know that any faculty member here on the stage could come up and tell you similar stories about the students with which they work. But my point is simply to illustrate that these are people who have found in this institution a convergence between their personal mission in life and what this college has to offer and is part of its mission. So in conclusion, I hope that my story and the story of many Whittier students clearly illustrates that the activity, the institution or organization in which you work can play a very significant role in your personal achievement when the mission and goals of that organization or institution truly match with your personal mission and goals. And so once again, I encourage all of you, reflect on and strive to be clear about your own goals, your mission in life. And number two, do your best to find a setting with goals and mission compatible with yours.